It was a quiet evening when everything shattered. Maya's scream echoed through the empty apartment, the sound raw and filled with a heart-wrenching urgency. She stood in the doorway, clutching her young son, Jaden, tightly to her chest as her ex-husband, Marcus, stormed out. His face, a blur of anger and betrayal, left Maya frozen in place. She could feel the sting of his words hanging in the air. "You'll never keep him from me." The slam of the door was deafening, a sound that would haunt her for months to come. The apartment, once a home full of promises, felt empty and cold. Sirens echoed in the distance, but Maya's thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion and fear. What had just happened? Her heart pounded as she held Jaden close, trying to shield him from the devastation of what had just unfolded. Her thoughts were a chaotic blur. Could she really raise her son alone? Was she strong enough to protect him from the very man who should have been there for both of them? The tears that welled up in her eyes weren't just for the marriage that was broken, but for the future that suddenly seemed so uncertain. She whispered to herself, "I have to keep him safe, no matter what it takes." The following days are a blur. Maya doesn't have time to think. Work, childcare, and the haunting fear of what might come next fill every moment. Marcus's actions left a scar that seemed impossible to heal. The court date looms, and every day, Maya feels the weight of her decisions. How could she protect Jaden in a world so uncertain? But despite the fear and the exhaustion, Maya knew she had to fight. For him. For herself. She couldn't let the past dictate their future. The days following Marcus's departure were filled with a strange kind of numbness. Maya threw herself into her work, hoping to block out the relentless tide of emotions. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape the haunting thought, what happens now? As she tucked Jaden into bed that evening, his innocent face gave her the strength she needed. She watched him sleep for a moment, the weight of her responsibilities settling heavily on her shoulders. But as she gazed at his peaceful face, a new determination stirred within her. "I'll fight for you," she whispered. The past would no longer control her. She would take back what was rightfully hers. The world outside felt hostile, but in this moment she had her son, and that was all that mattered. "If I have to do this alone, I will." Maya stood up, the resolve in her heart growing with each passing second. The tension between Maya and Marcus grew as the days passed. He continued to make demands, threatening to take Jaden from her. Every call, every message felt like a new battle. But Maya was no longer afraid. She had spent too many years trying to appease him, and now she was done. One afternoon, after yet another argument over the phone, she felt a wave of exhaustion crash over her. She sat down at the kitchen table, the weight of her decisions pulling at her. What if she couldn't protect Jaden? What if she failed? She rubbed her temples, the uncertainty clouding her thoughts. But then Jaden came running into the room, his laughter breaking through her worries. He jumped into her lap, his little arms wrapping around her. "I love you, Mommy," he said, his innocent words cutting through the fear. Maya smiled, kissing the top of his head. "I'll protect you, no matter what." She had no choice but to fight. She couldn't let him down. By the time the custody hearing arrived, Maya was a mix of nerves and determination. She dressed carefully, the weight of the decision ahead of her sitting heavily in her chest. As she sat in the waiting room, she tried to focus on the task at hand. "This is for Jaden. This is for us." The door to the courtroom opened, and Maya's lawyer called her name. Her heart skipped a beat as she stood up, her legs shaky but resolute. She walked into the courtroom, her back straight, her focus unbroken. The opposing lawyer, sharp and confident, wasted no time trying to paint Maya as an unfit mother. But Maya didn't flinch. She listened carefully, her heart pounding in her ears. She wouldn't let Marcus take Jaden from her. Not after everything they'd been through. She fought back tears as she gave her testimony, her voice strong despite the fear that gripped her. The moment the judge's gavel came down, Maya knew that no matter the outcome, she had done everything she could to keep her son safe. The rest of the world felt distant, but in that moment, Maya knew she was doing the right thing. She would protect him, come what may. The days after the court hearing blurred together in a haze of exhaustion and anxiety. Maya spent every waking moment preparing for what was next. More legal meetings, more court dates. But it was the quiet moments, the ones spent alone with Jaden, that kept her going. "I'll make this work," she whispered to herself as she tucked him into bed. The words felt empty, but the determination behind them was real. The pressure from Marcus's legal team was unrelenting, and Maya had no idea how she was going to afford the mounting legal fees. Her job at the diner didn't bring in nearly enough, and the thought of asking anyone for help felt like admitting failure. But when Jaden smiled up at her, asking for a story before bed, she knew she couldn't give up. She told him a story of a brave knight, one who fought for what was right, no matter the odds. And as she spoke, Maya realized she was that knight now. She would fight for him. The phone call came early the next morning. Maya hesitated before picking it up, already dreading the conversation. It was her lawyer, giving her the bad news. "Maya, we've received a new petition from Marcus' lawyer. He's contesting the hearing, pushing for a new date and more evidence." Maya's heart sank as the lawyer explained the legal tactics Marcus was using. "He's trying to drag this out as long as possible," Maya said, her voice tight. "I know," the lawyer replied, "but we have to prepare. We can't afford to make any mistakes." Maya rubbed her eyes, fighting the exhaustion that threatened to consume her. She hung up and stared at the wall for a moment, fighting back tears. How could she keep up with this? But just as quickly, her resolve returned. "For Jaden, I will keep going, no matter how hard it gets." As the weeks went by, Maya's life became a cycle of endless work, court meetings, and sleepless nights. But amidst it all, she found herself growing closer to her best friend, Alexis. Alexis had been a constant support throughout the turmoil, offering her a listening ear and words of encouragement when Maya felt like giving up. One evening, after yet another exhausting day, Maya sat down with Alexis at a local cafe. "I don't know how much longer I can do this," Maya confessed, her voice raw with emotion. Alexis took her hand across the table. "Maya, you are doing the best you can, and you're stronger than you realize. Don't give up now, not when you're so close to winning." Maya looked at her friend, grateful for the unwavering support. "I don't feel strong," she admitted. "I feel like I'm barely holding it together." Alexis smiled. "That's when you're the strongest. You're holding it together for Jaden, for your future. That's real strength." Maya took a deep breath, her determination reigniting. She couldn't stop now. Not after everything she'd fought for. Maya's resolve was tested the next day when she received a letter from Marcus' lawyer. The letter outlined new accusations, claims that Maya was unfit to care for Jaden, citing her financial instability and her work schedule. Maya's heart raced as she read the words, feeling the weight of the accusations crushing her. How could they do this? She thought, her hands trembling. She looked at Jaden, who was playing in the next room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around him. The thought of losing him was unbearable. Maya knew she had to fight back, but the fear of failure gnawed at her. "What if I can't do this?" She set the letter down, wiping her eyes before taking a deep breath. "For Jaden, I can't give up." That evening Maya stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. Her mind raced with everything she had to do, the court dates, the legal battles, and the constant fear that she might not be enough for Jaden. But as she watched him fall asleep that night, his little face peaceful and trusting, something clicked inside her. I am enough. She had come too far to turn back now. She was fighting for her son, for their future, and she wasn't going to let anyone take that away. With a deep breath, Maya wiped away the tears that had begun to fall and kissed Jaden's forehead. "We'll get through this," she whispered. Together. The day had started like any other, with Maya running errands and trying to keep everything together. But when her phone rang, everything changed. It was her estranged aunt, Tony, a figure from Maya's past who had disappeared years ago. "Maya," Tony said, her voice soft but urgent, I've been watching you. I know what you're going through. Maya froze, the sudden call pulling her back into memories she'd tried to bury. What do you mean? Maya asked, her voice trembling. Oh, you've been fighting this battle alone, but you don't have to, Tony said. I've been waiting for the right time to step in, to help. But there's something you need to know first. The words hung heavy in the air. What could she possibly know that Maya didn't? Tony went on to reveal that she had been secretly keeping an eye on Marcus, and had information that could help Maya win the custody battle. But there was a catch. The truth is more complicated than you think, Tony warned. I've got secrets of my own. Maya's head spun as she absorbed the news. What was Tony not telling her? The puzzle pieces were starting to fit together in ways she hadn't expected. Maya sat down at the kitchen table after the call, trying to process what Tony had told her. Marcus had been hiding something? The revelation was staggering. She hadn't expected an ally to appear from the shadows, let alone someone from her family. But Tony's cryptic words kept swirling in her mind. The truth is more complicated than you think. What did that mean? And what price would she have to pay for the help Tony was offering? Just as Maya was trying to make sense of it all, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find a delivery from a law firm, a subpoena from Marcus's lawyer. She was being summoned to court again, this time for an emergency hearing. Panic set in, but then she remembered Tony's words. She had to move quickly. She had to stay one step ahead. Her life was changing, and she had to take control. Maya's next call was to her lawyer. She explained the new developments, the subpoena, and her conversation with Tony. You need to be prepared, her lawyer said. Marcus isn't going to make this easy. But Maya didn't back down. I'm not backing down either, she said, her voice firm. The weight of her situation was pressing down on her, but Maya felt something shift inside her. She wasn't just fighting for custody anymore. She was fighting for her future, for Jaden's future, and for the truth to come out. Later that evening, as she prepared for another long night of research and planning, she found herself thinking about her Aunt Tony. Could she trust her? The stakes were higher than ever, and Maya knew she had to make some tough decisions. She couldn't afford to let her guard down now. Her son's future was on the line. The days leading up to the hearing were filled with tension. Maya found herself torn between the unknowns of Tony's offer and the fear of what Marcus' next move would be. The night before the hearing, Tony called again. Are you sure you're ready to hear the truth? Tony asked, her voice soft but insistent. Maya hesitated. What are you talking about? She asked, her tone sharp. There's more to Marcus' past than you know, Tony said, and you'll need that information to win. But understand this, accepting my help means facing the past, a past that's been buried for years. Maya's mind raced. What had Tony been keeping from her all these years? Could she really trust her? But the thought of losing Jaden was unbearable. I have to know, Maya thought. I have to do whatever it takes to protect him. The morning of the court hearing arrived, and Maya stood before the mirror, staring at her reflection. She was tired, overwhelmed and uncertain, but the one thing she knew for sure was that she would not let Marcus take Jaden. Her heart pounded as she walked into the courtroom. She had no idea what to expect, but she was ready. As the hearing began, the courtroom fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. Marcus's lawyer wasted no time, using every tactic at his disposal to paint Maya as an unfit mother. But Maya didn't waver. She kept her composure, speaking only when necessary, her words firm and direct. She knew this battle was far from over, but she had already won one victory, her own strength. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Maya sat at the witness stand, her heart racing, her mind overwhelmed by the weight of what was about to happen. Marcus's lawyer was relentless, making accusations that made Maya's skin crawl. She's unfit to raise her son, the lawyer declared. Maya could feel her stomach twist, but she kept her composure. She had been here before, in this very space where her worth was questioned, where her life was being scrutinized under a microscope. But this time she wouldn't let them define her. She wouldn't let them tear her apart. "I may not be perfect," Maya said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But I love my son more than anything. I would do anything to protect him." She could see the judge listening carefully, but the weight of the courtroom still felt crushing. But this time, Maya thought, "I'm not backing down." Marcus sat across the room, his cold eyes never leaving Maya. It was as if he was daring her to say something, challenging her every word. "You don't know what you're doing, Maya," he said sharply, breaking the silence in the courtroom. "You can't keep Jaden from me. He needs me." Maya's heart skipped a beat, but she forced herself to speak. "You're not the father Jaden needs," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "You walked away when it got hard. I'm the one who's been here for him day after day. You can't come back and tear apart everything we've built." The judge's gavel came down with a sharp thud, signaling the end of the day's proceedings. Maya's heart pounded in her chest, the emotional toll of the hearing hitting her all at once. But she knew this wasn't the end. It was just one step in the long fight ahead. The next day, Maya found herself facing the hardest part of the battle yet. Her lawyer had just presented evidence of Marcus's past neglect, but now it was her turn to testify. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, trying to steady her shaking hands. "When Marcus left us, he left me with a choice," Maya began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I could either give up or I could fight, and I chose to fight." She paused, looking at the gallery, then back at the judge. "I have fought every single day for my son. I may not have much, but I have everything I need to give him a safe, loving home. I am his mother, and I will never stop fighting for him." The words felt like a release, a weight lifted from her chest. She had said everything she needed to say. Now, it was up to the judge. As the judge deliberated, Maya felt like time had slowed to a crawl. She could hear the murmurs of the people in the courtroom, but all she could focus on was the uncertainty of it all. What would the judge decide? The tension was unbearable, and as the judge returned to the bench, Maya's heart seemed to stop. The room fell silent. "After careful consideration, I have made my decision," the judge said, his voice authoritative. Maya held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "Please, please let this be over. I am granting custody to the mother, Maya Davis." The judge continued, with visitation rights for the father, Marcus Davis, as per the terms outlined by the court. Relief washed over Maya like a tidal wave. She was going to keep her son. It wasn't over yet. There were still hurdles to face, but in that moment, Maya felt like she had finally won. When the courtroom finally emptied, Maya found herself standing alone in the hallway, her mind reeling. She had won, but at what cost? The emotional toll of the battle had left its mark, and she knew the journey wasn't over. But as she walked down the courthouse steps with Jaden in her arms, the weight of the world seemed just a little bit lighter. "We did it, baby," she whispered, kissing his forehead. Jaden smiled up at her, his eyes filled with trust and love. Maya knew the road ahead would be tough, but she had Jaden, and that was all she needed. The weeks following the court decision were a blur of adjusting to a new normal. Maya had won custody, but the battle left scars she wasn't sure how to heal. The financial strain continued, and though Marcus' presence in Jaden's life had been minimized, there were still moments of tension. Maya struggled to balance the demands of work, parenting, and her emotional well-being. But every time Jaden wrapped his arms around her, she knew it was all worth it. One evening, as Maya tucked him into bed, she whispered, "We're okay, baby. We're going to be okay." Jaden smiled up at her sleepily. "I love you, Mommy," he said, his little voice soft with the trust and love he placed in her. Maya kissed his forehead, her heart swelling. "I did it for you," she thought. "For both of us." In that moment, the weight of the battle seemed to lift, and Maya realized that no matter what came next, she had her son, and that was all she truly needed. Despite the win, Maya knew the real work was just beginning. She had the custody she'd fought for, but now she had to rebuild her life from the ground up. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving. Her job at the diner didn't bring in much, and she knew she couldn't rely on just one source of income forever. So she took the first steps toward a better future, enrolling in night classes to finish her degree. The first few days were difficult, and the exhaustion from juggling everything was overwhelming. But Maya didn't allow herself to quit. Every late night spent studying was a step closer to providing a better life for Jaden. It was hard, but every time she felt like giving up, she remembered the strength she had shown when everything seemed impossible. She wasn't going to stop now. One day, while picking Jaden up from school, Maya received an unexpected phone call. It was Tony again. "I know things have been difficult, Maya," Tony said, her voice softer now. "I've been thinking about you, about the help I offered. But I want you to know that you don't have to do this alone. I've been a terrible aunt, and I want to make things right." Maya's heart swelled with a mixture of anger and gratitude. Tony had been absent for so many years, but now she was offering to help in the only way she knew how. "I don't know if I can trust you yet," Maya said, her voice measured. "But maybe you're right. Maybe I don't have to do it alone." Tony had her own demons to fight, but Maya could sense the sincerity in her words. The road ahead wasn't easy, but perhaps it was time to let someone in. Maya spent the following week considering Tony's offer. The idea of accepting help from someone who had been absent for so long made her uneasy, but the promise of a support system was hard to ignore. One evening, after putting Jaden to bed, Maya sat down to write in her journal. She always found peace in writing, a way to sort through the chaos in her mind. "I am stronger than I think," she wrote. "I've been through hell and back, but I am still here, and I will keep going." Maya closed the journal and sat in the quiet apartment, listening to the sound of Jaden's gentle breathing from the other room. It wasn't perfect, and there were still so many hurdles ahead. But Maya had a sense of peace for the first time in a long while. She would get through this. She had to. A few days later, Maya met with Tony. The two sat down at a small cafe where Tony began to open up about her own struggles. "I made mistakes, Maya," Tony confessed, her voice low. "I wasn't there when you needed me. But I've been watching you, and I've seen your strength. I want to help you if you'll let me." Maya listened, the weight of Tony's words settling in her chest. She had been afraid of relying on anyone, afraid of opening up to someone who had abandoned her in the past. But here, Tony was, asking for forgiveness, offering help. "I don't know what the future holds," Maya said quietly. "But I know I need to make things right. I need to be the mother Jaden deserves." Tony nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "We'll do it together," she said. "You don't have to do this alone anymore." Maya stood in front of the mirror that morning, staring at her reflection. It wasn't a moment of self-doubt, but a realization. She had come so far in such a short time. The custody battle had taken everything from her, but in return, she had gained a sense of herself she hadn't known she was missing. "I am stronger than I thought," she whispered to herself. But even as the words left her lips, Maya knew there were still obstacles ahead. Her job at the diner was barely enough to cover the bills, and now that she was attending night classes to finish her degree, she felt the constant weight of exhaustion. But there was a fire inside her now, a determination to push forward, no matter how hard it got. She was doing this for Jaden, and for herself. She couldn't quit now. She had already fought too hard. The next day, as Maya was walking to class, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned around to find her old friend, Jessica, standing there with a wide grin. "Maya!" Jessica exclaimed, pulling her into a tight hug. "It's been way too long." Maya smiled, surprised by the sudden appearance of someone from her past. "Jessica, I didn't even recognize you," she laughed, wiping away a stray tear. "How are you?" Over coffee, Jessica and Maya caught up. Jessica had moved back to town, and Maya was amazed at how much had changed in their lives. "I heard about your court battle," Jessica said, her tone filled with empathy. "And I just wanted to say, you've always been so strong. I don't know how you've managed it all." Maya hesitated before answering. "Well, I didn't have much of a choice, but I'm making it work." Jessica smiled, her eyes sparkling with something between admiration and concern. I'm here for you, Maya. If you ever need anything, I'm just a call away. Maya's heart swelled with gratitude. After everything she'd been through, having someone who truly cared meant more than words could express. The next few weeks brought unexpected changes. Jessica's offer of help wasn't just a fleeting gesture. She became a regular presence in Maya's life, checking in, offering advice, and even helping out with Jaden on the weekends. The support she gave was a lifeline, and for the first time in a long while, Maya began to feel like she wasn't facing everything alone. On a sunny Saturday afternoon, Maya sat with Jessica and Jaden at the park. Jaden was playing on the swings, his laughter echoing across the playground. Maya smiled, her heart swelling with pride. He's so happy, she thought. And she knew that despite everything, she had given him that joy. Jessica sat beside her, watching the scene unfold. You're doing great, Maya, she said quietly. I don't know how you've made it through, but you've really pulled it off. Maya's smile faded for a moment, her thoughts drifting back to the difficulties. It's not easy, she admitted. But I've learned that it's okay to lean on people. I've learned that I don't have to do it all alone. Jessica nodded. That's the hardest part, realizing that you don't have to be strong all the time. You have people who care about you. Maya looked over at Jaden, who waved excitedly from the swings. I don't have to be perfect, Maya realized. I just have to be there for him. And I always will be. Back at home, Maya found herself in a quiet moment of reflection. The apartment, once filled with tension, now felt like a place of peace. Jaden was asleep in his room, and Maya was sitting in the living room, looking at the small stack of bills that still piled up. The financial burden hadn't gone away, but now she had hope. She had a plan. I'm going to make this work, Maya whispered, a new resolve in her voice. She had enrolled in a local college to finish her degree, and while the road ahead was long, she knew she was on the right path. The weight of the past still lingered, but it no longer had the power to define her. Maya had taken control of her future, one small step at a time. I'm doing this for us, she thought. I'm doing this for Jaden. The months that followed were filled with ups and downs, but through it all, Maya learned to embrace the challenges. She found herself growing in ways she hadn't expected. Each time she stumbled, she got back up. Each time she doubted herself, she found the strength to keep going. One evening, as Maya and Jaden walked home from the park, Jaden tugged at her sleeve. Mommy, I love you, he said, looking up at her with big, trusting eyes. Maya smiled, her heart swelling. I love you too, baby, she said, bending down to kiss his forehead. As they continued walking, Maya realized that the journey wasn't just about winning the custody battle. It was about rebuilding her life, piece by piece, and realizing that the love she had for her son was stronger than any obstacle. No matter what the future held, they would face it together. And that was all that mattered. The seasons changed, and so did Maya. The once overwhelming fear of the unknown had started to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence that she hadn't felt before. The challenges of single motherhood were still present, but now she had the tools to face them. Maya's days were full, work, classes, and of course Jaden. But somewhere in the chaos she found moments of peace. One evening, as Maya prepared dinner, she felt a hand tug at her sleeve. She looked down to see Jaden, his little face full of excitement. Mommy, can we make cookies? He asked eagerly. Maya smiled, setting aside the knife she was using to chop vegetables. Of course, she said, kneeling down to his level. Let's make some cookies. In the kitchen, the two of them mixed the dough together, laughing and sharing silly jokes. For a brief moment, Maya forgot about the bills, the stress, and the uncertainty. It was just her and Jaden, creating memories. This, Maya thought, is what matters. The next day, Maya received an email from the local college where she had been taking classes. Her grades were in, and for the first time in years, she had earned straight A's. She couldn't believe it. It was a small victory, but it was hers, and it felt like a testament to how far she had come. She immediately picked up the phone and called Tony, I'm so dense, can already die, when they'll be, by their kindly steady. I did it, she said breathlessly when Tony answered. I got straight as. Tony's voice on the other end was filled with pride. I knew you could do it, Maya. You've always been capable of so much more than you realized. Maya laughed, the sound of her joy echoing through the room. I couldn't have done it without your support, Maya said, her voice soft. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Tony's voice grew quieter. You've always had the strength inside you, you just needed to see it for yourself. Maya smiled, her heart full. I finally see it, she thought. I finally see the strength I've always had. Later that week, Maya had another unexpected conversation, this time with Marcus. He called her, and for a moment, Maya wasn't sure what to expect. Maya, he began, his voice hesitant. I wanted to say, I've been thinking about everything, about Jaden, and I've realized I wasn't there for him. I wasn't there for you. Maya paused, her heart pounding. This was not the apology she had expected. I'm sorry for everything I've put you through, Marcus continued. I'm trying to be a better man, for Jaden. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She didn't know how to respond. The man who had hurt her so deeply was finally acknowledging the damage he had done. I don't know if it's too late, he added, his voice tinged with regret. Maya closed her eyes, taking in the words. It's not too late for him, she thought, but it is for me. I've moved on. I appreciate your apology, she said softly, but I've learned to stand on my own now. For Jaden. The line was quiet for a long moment before Marcus finally spoke. I understand. I just wanted you to know. With Marcus' apology hanging in the air, Maya felt a shift in herself. The burden of the past wasn't something she could fully escape, but she realized that it no longer defined her. She didn't need Marcus's approval or apology to feel whole. She had Jaden. She had herself. And that was enough. As the weeks went by, Maya and Jaden's life started to feel more settled. She had found a better job, her studies were going well, and she was learning to balance everything, even if it wasn't perfect. There were still struggles, bills to pay, moments of doubt, but Maya had grown stronger, more resilient. One evening, as they sat together on the couch watching a movie, Jaden looked up at her and smiled. I'm glad we're together, Mommy, he said, his voice soft and sincere. Maya smiled, her heart swelling. Me too, baby, she whispered. Me too. The final moment came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Maya and Jaden stood at the door, looking out at the world beyond. The air was fresh, and the sky was a bright blue. Jaden grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the steps. Let's go play outside, Mommy, he said with excitement. Maya laughed, squeezing his hand. All right, let's go, she said, her voice filled with a newfound sense of peace. As they stepped outside, Maya realized that, despite everything she had been through, she had found her way. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. And for the first time, she felt a deep, profound peace settle within her heart. As she watched Jaden run ahead, her heart was full. We'll be all right, she thought, knowing that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. And that was enough.